Hey everybody, it's Sabrina. Today's video, I'm gonna walk you through the first 3 months of my reading journal. I think most of my walkthroughs are pretty chatty. I'm hoping to do a total of 4 walkthroughs, so each quarter. And then I think for the last quarter though, I'm just gonna do the full walkthrough, which will probably be in January of next year, right? So if you wanna let me know your thoughts on that in the comments, I would love that. But that is what we're gonna do today, is walk through this and have a little chat about my reading journal and where I'm at for it. I'm also going to tell you about this fantastic new kit that Jennifer has coming out. She is another one of my printable shops that I love working with. So I have 3. So I have Mandy Ford, she's at Etsy. Jennifer's shop is Syncopation Designs, and she's at Etsy as well. So Jennifer does this stamp set. And then my 3rd favorite printable shop is, of course, Ashley Horton, the Document 365. And she has her own website, The Cut Shop. So those are kind of my 3 favorite printable shops. And Jennifer's kit is going to be very, very versatile. I just showed you these cards right here. I'm gonna make a page about a book hangover, about a favorite book that I read in the summer. And I also printed this. I'm gonna try to make some flowers out of this paper and like punch different sized flowers and then layer them together. So that's gonna be in a different process video. And she also has a million die cuts, and there's stamp sets coming out, which is another reason that I decided to go ahead and wait till next week to do the April update. That way, hopefully I have the stamps and I can share them, and it can be a huge part of my April update. All right, let's go to my desk. Okay, at my desk, I hope you guys are enjoying this video so far, and I have, like I said, a very chatty walkthrough, so I hope you're working on a project or just enjoying this video while you're relaxing. Okay, so I wanted to give you a close-up of these journaling cards before I get started, and also the die cuts. So these are really, really cute. I actually printed this to be a part of my project, and I'm hoping to incorporate it. So I was sitting at the park for like probably 2 hours because my son was playing with a friend, and it was a really, really good book. So I want to pair those pieces together and also make the flowers. I printed this out just so I could fussy cut it out, and I just had like a little section left at the bottom of the paper. This is what I'm hoping to cut out, but it looks like it printed wrong, so I can just reprint it. This is another project that I want to add to my Me album for December, and I thought it would be fun to take the bookshelf paper and fussy cut it out so that way I could add it to the top of the page. And then this particular card is part of that same paper, and I just turned it into a 3x4. And then of course, these are some solids. The kit comes with solids and also some pattern papers. So the die cuts are amazing, and since, I don't know about you, but I read a lot with my cats, well, they invite themselves and they don't always sit still. So one of the cool things about this kit is that Jennifer included a ton of adorable little animals, and since I read with my cats, I only die cut the cats. Let's see, here's another cat. So she has a ton of different varieties of dogs and cats, and so I think they are so stinking adorable. Same thing with this. Isn't this just the cutest? That is so cute. And the other thing that I really, really love is that she has some girls on a couch, and they all have like different colored hair, and it's really cool. So I printed out one that I kind of made me think of myself. And then the other thing that she has that I really like is all these different die cuts with different word phrases on them. So let me just show you a few. So book club, pick, support your local library, sad it's finished, fave character, page turner, F reality, and then born to read, I think is what it says, but it's kind of lost in here. And then there's another one that says get lit, is some tabs and also some pillows and a variety of colors. Adventure awaits. I mean, it's just a fantastic collection with so much variety. It even comes with some digital stamps in the collection. I did not print any of those. Well, I tried to print 2 as die cuts, but they didn't turn out so great. You can see that the lines right there and there. So, but I am so excited to play with this kit next week when you guys get to see the April reading stats video. All right, I'm gonna stop chatting and we are gonna get started on the walkthrough. All right, let's get into the actual walkthrough. I know last year I did a walkthrough January through April, but this year I'm doing quarters, so I'm gonna do a walkthrough for every quarter. I open up with this page that I just did a bunch of stamping with various stamps that I have in my stash, Studio Calico, and also stamp set from Syncopation Designs. Remember we talked about her in the intro with the kit and the new kit that's coming. This is Resting Book Face, and I just love it. I mean, look at all those sentiments. They are just perfect. So that is that stamp set, and then I just printed out a script type title. I didn't have to stamp it, and then I did 23 using Ali Edwards numbers. And of course, I have my 2023 books, and I did a flap this year because I'm shooting for the moon here, and I'm really hoping to get a high number of books. And last year I had a little like flip down and it was kind of awkward. So I wanted to make sure this year I planned for extra reading. My year in review, I'm gonna go around this way. So next up is gonna be April right here. And I haven't quite decided what book is gonna be my favorite for April. Then comes the shelves. I had lots of fun with this, and I used Mandy Ford stamps to make the plants in the shelves. And then a second shelf as well. I thought about putting a picture of me or like having somebody draw it for me, but I haven't decided, and I may need this extra room for books since I have rediscovered audiobooks and I'm reading a lot more because I'm listening. Next up is this Goodreads challenge. This was really fun to make, but also hilarious, just laughing at myself because I was trying to make a game board-ish design. I'm not sure if it turned out that way, but I still like it, and it's gonna be a great way to track my Goodreads. And I think I planned it out to 100, but I'm not sure. I can't quite remember. Then another little section that I included based off of an Instagrammer. This page was inspired by Elle, and I left her information in the description box, but she does an amazing job with different statistics, and I saw this page that she did for overall goals for the year, so I wanted to try that. I'm doing pretty good with my goals, and I've actually almost completed a few of them, which is really exciting, especially the nonfiction. I wasn't expecting to read nonfiction, but I really like to listen to it. Doing pretty good on A to Z. If you guys watch my other reading journal videos, I tend to be picky about what books I put here. The books have to really make an impression or be like favorites, which is probably silly, but you know, that's just what I do. Then the genres, again, used that stamp set from Jennifer. I do have an adult section up here that I'm kind of keeping a tally just because some of the books that I read, they don't fall into any of these here. So I have historical, young adult, mystery, fantasy, children's, romance, nonfiction, supernatural, LGBTQIA+, and then horror, biopic, and sci-fi. So lots of great genres, and I'm very excited to have this page, and it was so fun to color. Next up is Read Around the USA, and I'm really enjoying this challenge and kind of thinking about other books and trying other books, like the Half Broke Horses. That was a nonfiction, and I absolutely enjoyed it. The one for April I chose was Keeper of the Night, and it was based in the U.S. territory of Guam. And it was a really good book, middle school type book, but it had like heavy subject matter with the topic of suicide. So the next up is the Rate the Romance Challenge, and there's going to be 4 of them because she also breaks the year up into quarters. So I almost finished this one, which was like my best so far ever that I've done with this challenge. And then in my April setup video next week, you'll see me add in chapter 2, which is going to be April through, let's see, April, May, June, April through June. And then I have the other sections marked off as well. So I did the Bloom Challenge, absolutely love this page, and then Stephanie decided to not do the Bloom Challenge this year, which is totally fine, totally understandable, and it actually gives me a chance to go back through other challenges that I may not have completed and pick my own categories. I just haven't done that yet. I still have time to do that. We're only going into May, right? So I've got time. I think this is the final, this is the final challenge, 12 books, 12 friends. I asked on Instagram for book recommendations, and I got these ones. There was tons of others, but these ones I had not read. So in April, I listened to this book, which was incredibly heartwarming and amazing. I also was then recommended the movie, so I'm waiting for the movie at the library. I just loved it. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. And I'm currently reading this one. So I'm not sure about this one. It's making me really upset. Making me upset. And this one, I spent a good chunk of April listening to this book and totally invested in it because I've never read a Stephen King, and I watched the show with my husband, so I liked it. I had the background. I was so invested in this audiobook, you guys, and at 25%, I didn't get the book anymore because my hold expired. I was so bummed. I feel like libraries should know when you only have a 5% or less, and they should let you keep the book for an additional day. Like, that would have been fantastic. Now I'm waiting like 3 months to finish this book. I'm so upset. I'm like, I want to know what's going to happen. So anyways, I loved the book. I wish I could have finished it, but I didn't get to. All right, moving into the months. January, I'm doing the same design as I did last year with the calendar over here, the number of books and a cluster, and then the month and a cluster. So I stuck with blues and greens for January and had a lot of fun putting this together. I also started using Storygraph after a bunch of you guys recommended it, and I'm so glad that you guys did because I absolutely love it. I love seeing the various statistics, and it also adds up my book pages for me. So that is just fantastic. It also inspired me to try out using a pie chart in my stats pages based off of the emotions in the books that I'm reading. I did get a new alpha stamp set, Iris, from Carrie Bradford, so I'm using that for the title, All the Stats. And then I have 2 boxes over here for paper and Kindle, and then 3 different categories. Last year I had like 2 special categories. This year I'm doing 3. So romances, everyone's reading, and surprises. And again, adding in some genres and pages. And then over here, I just do the ratings. Last year I did rating and the dates that I read them, but since I have it over here on the calendar, I figured, you know what, I don't have to repeat it. And then I did a little cluster here to do the average rating, which also comes from Storygraph, so that's really helpful. My first favorite book of the whole year was this book. It's very sci-fi. If you've ever watched the show Winona Earp, it reminds me of that show, and my friend Erica told me that. It made total sense. So it has to do with like romance and sci-fi and Western, like all come together in this really awesome story that I thoroughly enjoyed. this one that I've seen everybody reading, and I had to read it and see what it was all about. I also found this graphic and went ahead and used that and just went to town with the stamps. I had a lot of fun pulling out old stamps to stamp in the florals with all the greens and the browns. Winter Orphans was a World War II historical novel. Historical fiction, when it pertains to World War II, is probably my favorite. The resilience of people is something that I will continue to find fascinating, and just all the different stories that come out of that immensely difficult time. Moving into February, I used a mix of Ali Edwards' story kit, circles and die cuts, and also some that I had printed from an Etsy shop. And I'm also trying to stick to using this grid washi tape that I got on Amazon just to make it easy. Stuck with some very fun Valentine's lovey type colors, I guess you could say. And I, again, did my pie chart, and I started to notice that on my pie chart, a lot of the categories are the same. So I have emotional is the biggest one, and that's the same thing for January. But the second one was adventurous, but for this one, it was reflective. So it's just interesting to note how it changes based on the books. And I said this in my other reading journal videos, but sometimes when they categorize these books, I don't always agree with it. Like, I distinctly remember them saying this was a funny book. I did not find this book funny at all. Not at all. The special categories were challenge 5, audiobook 1, and favorites 4. Moving into hidden pictures, this was an absolutely incredible book. I could not put it down. It's a horror thriller, and you know, that made me kind of nervous because I'm not a horror reading type of person, but this was fascinating, utterly fascinating, and I flew through the book. This was the book I read that was the nonfiction for the Read Around the USA, and its grandmother, Lily. It's the author's grandmother. She is absolutely fascinating, a fascinating character, and she went through so much in her life and had so many different adventures. It's hard to believe that she was a real person with everything that she went through, but I absolutely loved it. Next up is Flawless. I think my friend Jen recommended this to me for the... yeah, she did. For the 12 Friends, my friend Jen did, and I'm so glad she did, because I've seen this book before and I just kept like skipping over it, but I finally read it and I'm in love with these characters and I want to live on this farm, and I just, the ranch, I loved it. It was a beautiful, beautiful love story. Finishing up the month with another wonderful romance. This one was a little more tender, a little more, I guess you could say, adorable. A great book that I really enjoyed. Then comes March, and I did greens and blues and had lots of fun with stamping and made a big die cut title there and cut apart a Paper Person Shop card so that way I could have just the blues and green books. And I read a whopping 14 books because I rediscovered audiobooks. And for April, I may make the calendar just a little bit bigger, the boxes, because I did notice that I was having trouble putting in the audiobooks. Like, I would just have to put when it was finished. Like, this says The Newcomer, and that's when I finished it. So I'll have to think about that as I figure out how to include all the books, because things are going to overlap and I don't want it to be too messy. And since I really didn't want to shrink down the book covers too much, I decided to do something totally different, and I added in a insert. It's so fun and I love it. It turned out fantastic. And I used my favorite stamps from Everyday Explorers with the greenery and then these little dots and X's. And I took all of the washi tape. There's this washi tape from Paper Person Shop, if you saw the video. It's rainbow, and I literally cut out specifically the pieces for the blues and the greens. And then the ones that I did not use, I put in my planner. I didn't want them to go to waste, so I just found a week in my passion planner that I can use them. So it works because it's like a fall type week, so I just stuck them all right there. But did not want them to go to waste, and so now they have a home. But it was fun to do this little trick. And again, another thing I might change for April is adding a box here for audio, because I just put it over here as a special category since I was not expecting to read so many books and listen to so many books. I did favorites, 5 and 2 books that were just meh. Also included this die cut because of audiobooks, and then this is all of my books. So an amazing, amazing month of books. And what all really sparked it was the Rate the Romance Challenge. You had to, one of the categories was listen to a romance audiobook. And I picked Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake, and it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. I loved it. And it wound up being my first favorite book for the month. I found a PNG like pregnancy test, so I included that, and then a free cupcake image, and just had a lot of fun making this. It's just such a great book. Next up was Beauty and the Baller. I listened to this one as well, and just included the flowers and also some footballs. Just a great mix of different images that complement the story. Finishing the month with these 2 books. I'm Glad My Mom Died. I wound up listening to this book. Funny side story. My daughter found this book in the Lucky Day section and knew I had been waiting for it for a long time. So she was very excited that she found it for me. But then I wound up listening to it and she got so mad at me. She's like, but you didn't like that book I found for you? But I'm glad I listened to it because Jeanette is the one that reads it. And it was so, so good. Painfully good, heartbreaking, and very, it's just amazing. I'm glad that I listened to it. And then I flip it up and I add a quote from her and a picture and then another quote right here. This one was With This Heart, a Rate the Romance book, and all about a road trip, finding love and a second chance at life and embracing life for what it is. So there you go. Oh my goodness, I know, another long walkthrough, but you guys, I hope you enjoyed seeing, where I'm at for my reading journal for the first 3 months. I would love a thumbs up, or if you're new around here, go ahead and hit subscribe. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.